Where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose.
As Sean Diddy Combs enters his 5th day in federal court.
If you want to make the world a better place,
it was a bizarre set of circumstances.
He just made a very bad decision.
Take a look at yourself.
He didn't know who he was. He was a house of cards.
Just moments ago, a bombshell revelation in court has rocked the entertainment world. Sean Diddy Combs has been shockingly linked to the mysterious death of the king of pop, Michael Jackson. For years, theories swirled, but now,
famous or infamous, one of the best-known people on the planet, ever.
Without a doubt, Michael Jackson's worth more dead than alive.
Explosive testimony and long-buried evidence are coming to light, pointing fingers in an unexpected direction. But what was Diddy's real connection to Michael Jackson? Why is this only being exposed now? Grab your seat, because the truth you're about to hear will change everything you thought you knew. Let's dive into the chaos. Kanye's courtroom bombshell. The courtroom was thick with tension, heavy like a storm about to break. A silence hung in the air so complete, it almost rang in your ears. No one dared whisper. Not a cough, not a chair creak, not even the faintest shuffle broke the stillness. Lawyers with decades of experience sat motionless. Journalists with notebooks poised stayed frozen mid-thought. There were no cameras, no flashes, no microphones. Yet the air buzzed with a suspense that even the best news broadcast couldn't capture. Then, he rose. Kanye West. The world knew him for his wild outburst, viral rants, and magnetic stage presence. But this version of him was different, startlingly different. Gone were the flashy sneakers, the bold designer labels, the look-at-me attitude. Instead, he wore a plain black suit. Nothing loud, nothing flashy. He looked like a man who had shed layers of ego and noise. There was something monk-like in his quiet, almost haunted presence. His face told stories of battles fought and wounds endured. His eyes were darker than before, not just in color, but in depth, as if they'd stared into something most people would run from. He stepped up to the witness stand, bent slightly toward the microphone, and in a calm, steady voice that sliced through the silence like a blade, he said, "I'm not here to talk about music. I'm here to talk about murder." The reaction was instant. The room jolted like it had been struck by lightning. Gasps echoed. Notebooks were forgotten. Time felt like it had hiccuped. This wasn't performance art. This wasn't a publicity stunt. This wasn't Kanye being Kanye. This was serious. This was something bigger than celebrity gossip or headline drama. A shift swept through the courtroom, unspoken but undeniable. Something was changing. Barriers were cracking. Secrets that had been safely buried under fame and fortune were beginning to claw their way to the surface.
I don't say so in a story.
Absolutely.
I can't just take our imagery like that.
And at the center of it all was Kanye, standing not as a performer, but as a witness. All eyes drifted to the man sitting opposite him, Sean Diddy Combs, a giant in the music industry, a man long thought untouchable. But the accusations swirling around him now weren't about record deals or behind-the-scenes rivalries. These weren't disputes over royalties or ego clashes. They were darker, heavier, the kind of charges that don't just break careers, they shatter legacies and shake entire industries to the core. And Kanye? He wasn't grandstanding. He wasn't looking for a viral moment. It felt like he had carried this truth for years, each day adding a new piece to a painful puzzle. And finally, with the whole world watching, even in silence, he had come to lay it all bare. No theatrics, no backing down, just the truth. Raw, unexpected, and irreversible. Whatever came next, one thing was clear: there would be no going back. What did Kanye West reveal about Diddy? It is definitely something you would not believe. Let's find out how Michael Jackson's name got into the picture. Michael Jackson's final whisper. Kanye West is no stranger to controversy. But this time, he may have touched something far more sinister than showbiz drama. With striking boldness, he painted a deeply unsettling picture, one involving none other than the king of pop, Michael Jackson. But this wasn't about music, fame, or tabloids. It was about fear. A fear so real, so intense, that even one of the most powerful entertainers in history was left whispering for help. According to Kanye, in the final days before Michael's sudden and mysterious death, the singer was not just exhausted or unwell. He was terrified. He reportedly believed that he was being hunted, that someone was closing in on him, and worse still, he knew exactly who it was. In a chilling detail shared with Kanye by members of the Jackson family, Michael left behind a final, secret message. No press conference, no statement to the media. Just a few haunting words spoken in private. Tell them it's Puffy. He knows he's here. Puffy, better known to the world as Sean Diddy Combs, was the name Michael allegedly uttered with urgency and fear. Those few words stunned the small circle who heard them. It wasn't just name-dropping. It felt like a warning. Michael, according to the family's account, believed that Diddy was somehow linked, maybe as a threat, maybe as a messenger, to whatever force he felt was circling him. Why would Michael point fingers in such a cryptic way? And more importantly, why didn't the public hear this until now? Kanye says the Jackson family kept this message hidden for years, afraid of the chaos or danger it might cause if spoken aloud. But they trusted him to speak when others wouldn't. They believed he would bring it to light, not just as gossip, but as a clue to something much deeper. And Kanye did just that. Still, the questions keep piling up. Did Michael really mean that Diddy was the one orchestrating the pressure and fear? Or was Diddy just another cog in a much bigger, darker machine? Throughout his career, Michael often hinted that he was being manipulated and watched. He spoke in interviews about powerful people in the music industry who wanted to silence or control him.
Michael Jackson liked to call himself the king of pop, and in his heyday it was no exaggeration.
This wasn't about petty rivalries or bad contracts. It was about life and death, or so he seemed to believe. He saw himself as a target, not just of greed, but of something more dangerous. Kanye took it a step further. He suggested that Michael may have viewed Diddy not necessarily as the mastermind, but as a sign that something dangerous was happening behind the scenes. Maybe Diddy was aware of it. Maybe he wasn't. But in Michael's fearful state, just seeing Diddy or sensing his presence was enough to trigger alarm bells. This story forces us to confront disturbing possibilities. What did Michael Jackson know in those final days? Why would a man who performed fearlessly in front of millions be reduced to whispers in the shadows? What kind of secret was too dangerous to speak aloud? It's tempting to dismiss this as celebrity drama or wild conspiracy, but when a man as iconic and careful as Michael Jackson chooses his final words so deliberately, it makes you pause, especially when those words have been hidden for so long. If what Kanye says is true, then this isn't just a mystery from the past. It may still be part of a larger truth the music world is too scared to face. The real question is, who else knows? And who's still afraid to speak? Was there a serious bond shared by Diddy and Michael Jackson? Let's delve into the details of the unexpected friendship that shaped music, the secret bond between Diddy and Michael Jackson. The music world is full of surprising pairings, but few are as captivating as the hidden friendship between Sean Diddy Combs and Michael Jackson, the legendary king of pop. In an industry where unexpected collaborations are almost the norm, their relationship stood out. Not because it was flashy or loud, but because it was quietly powerful. While fans across the globe watched their careers with wide eyes, eager to see their next moves, very few knew that, behind the scenes, these two music titans shared a close and meaningful connection. This is not just a story of two celebrities crossing paths. It's the story of how a rising hip-hop mogul and a global pop icon found common ground, supported one another, and left an indelible mark on the music industry together. The 1990s were a turning point for both men. Diddy, still early in his career, was carving out his place in the music scene. He wasn't just a rapper, he was building a music empire through Bad Boy Records, managing talents, and creating a sound that would define an era. Meanwhile, Michael Jackson, already a household name, was reclaiming his place at the top after a few quieter years. His albums and performances were drawing attention again, and his star power remained unmatched.
He's the undisputed king of pop, and Michael Jackson's music legacy continues to delight fans.
Their connection began in 1993, when Bad Boy Records secured the rights to distribute part of Michael Jackson's music catalog. On the surface, this was a bold business move, one that placed Diddy in an influential position within the music business. But behind the paperwork, a genuine friendship began to blossom, one rooted in shared ambition, creative drive, and deep respect for each other's talents. Even with the press sniffing around and the spotlight constantly shining on them, Diddy and Michael kept their bond mostly behind closed doors. They were occasionally seen together at exclusive parties and high-profile events, sparking rumors and curiosity. But the true nature of their relationship remained a mystery to most. What made their friendship so special was the way it went beyond business. Diddy often spoke, sometimes subtly, about how Michael's artistry and fearlessness inspired him. He admired Michael not just for his showmanship, but for his vision and his ability to break barriers in music, fashion, and even social issues. Michael, on the other hand, reportedly appreciated Diddy's hustle, his hunger to succeed, and his knack for spotting and nurturing talent. Their friendship, though largely invisible to the public, was a quiet exchange of inspiration and encouragement. It showed that even in a world driven by competition, two greats could uplift one another. It also served as a reminder that some of the most powerful alliances in music aren't always about flashy collaborations or chart-topping singles, but about the moments of understanding and support that happen away from the cameras. Today, as fans look back on the legacies of both Diddy and Michael Jackson, the story of their friendship adds a fascinating layer to their already iconic lives. It's a tale of connection, admiration, and the unspoken power of mutual respect, a true hidden gem in music history. Another angle to the revelation is that which brings Diddy's security head into the picture. What role did he play? Was it mere coincidence that Michael Jackson's ex-bodyguard is now Diddy's security head? Let's find out. The Handler Network. Meet Fahim Muhammad, a name that doesn't just blend into the background. No, his name lingers in the air like a mystery waiting to be solved. Fahim wasn't just another face in the crowd. He had held a position of rare proximity to some of the most famous figures in entertainment history. For years, he served as the head of security for music mogul Sean "Diddy" Combs, and earlier, he had been entrusted as one of the final bodyguards for Michael Jackson during the intense and emotional "This Is It" rehearsal period. But then came a moment of pause, a raised eyebrow from none other than Kanye West. In an industry where people often stay silent or pretend not to notice, Kanye dared to ask a question that many had never considered or perhaps deliberately ignored. Why would someone as relatively young, unknown, and untested as Fahim be placed so close to Michael Jackson, arguably the most high-profile, heavily scrutinized, and emotionally fragile celebrity in the world at that time?
King of pop at the height of his fame. And Amy, you have a lot more.
I do indeed. And the last days of Michael Jackson goes behind the scenes.
I just regret the limitation of my own imagination.
Kanye didn't believe it was coincidence. In his eyes, Fahim's placement was no accident. It was calculated. He proposed that people like Fahim weren't merely bodyguards. They were handlers. These were individuals carefully placed within the personal lives of celebrities, not just to protect them physically, but to control them emotionally, mentally, and even spiritually. Their job, according to Kanye, was to monitor these stars, guide their choices, and, if the need arose, silence them. And Kanye didn't stop there. He drew parallels to his own experiences, pointing fingers at his former trainer, Harley Pasternak. This wasn't about weightlifting or meal plans. Kanye alleged that Pasternak once sent him a terrifying message, an ultimatum wrapped in a threat. "If you don't shut up, I'll have you institutionalized again." This wasn't just one offbeat claim by a controversial figure. Kanye was painting a larger picture, one with disturbing clarity. A system seemed to be at play, operating quietly behind the glamour and flashing lights of the entertainment industry. A system that didn't just influence careers, but controlled lives, sometimes up to the very edge of sanity. He wasn't just talking about paranoia or conspiracy theories whispered in dark corners. He was pointing to a repeating pattern, a web, a well-oiled machine that might be pulling strings from behind the scenes. This system, he suggested, had left subtle but unmistakable marks, its fingerprints, on the lives of some of the biggest names in music, and tragically, even in their deaths. Kanye's claims may be controversial, even uncomfortable, but they force a compelling question. What if the people we thought were simply protecting the stars were actually placed to keep them in line? What if legends like Michael Jackson were not just victims of fame, but also of a shadowy framework built to manage them? As whispers turn into conversations and questions become louder, one can't help but wonder, how deep does this rabbit hole go? And who else is entangled in the invisible chains of control? Let's delve into the happenings behind the curtains. A pyramid of power and silence. Kanye West once pulled back the curtain on what he called a secret system controlling the entertainment industry. A hidden pyramid of power that shapes what the world sees, hears, and believes about celebrities. His words painted a chilling picture. Behind the fame, fashion, and flashing lights lies something far more complex and far more dangerous. At the very top of this unseen pyramid, Kanye claimed, are the true decision-makers, powerful media moguls and gatekeepers who pull the strings from the shadows. Beneath them is a tightly connected network made up of record label executives, celebrity stylists, lawyers, personal trainers, producers, publicists, and even bodyguards. According to him, everyone in this web plays a specific part, and they all know how to keep the system running smoothly. More importantly, they know how to keep stars in check. If a celebrity steps out of line, starts asking deep or uncomfortable questions, demanding more control over their work, or rejecting the industry's silent rules, Kanye suggests they're given warnings at first. But if they keep going, they don't get answers. They get consequences. And sometimes, those consequences are deadly. He pointed to famous figures like Prince, Whitney Houston, and Lisa Left Eye Lopes, all of whom died in mysterious ways. Drugs, strange accidents, and sudden natural deaths that seemed too convenient, too well-timed. Kanye hinted that these tragedies may not have been so accidental after all. To support his claims, he spoke about non-disclosure agreements, legal documents that silence people. He mentioned leaked emails that suggest deeper plots and videos or evidence that vanish without explanation. One name he dropped was Fahim, a person connected to top universities like Wharton, but with links to military intelligence and mind control tactics. Kanye's point was clear: this isn't just about music or fashion. It's about power, manipulation, and psychological control at the highest level. Then came the most unsettling part of his message: the warning. He said that once you're part of this system, there's no safe way out. Leaving it could cost you everything: your reputation, your mental health, even your life. It's not a world where you simply walk away. You have to be ready to lose it all. The way Kanye told it, the industry isn't just a business, it's a fortress. The people at the top are not just producers and agents, they're protectors of a well-oiled machine that doesn't like disruptions. And when someone tries to break free, speak the truth, or wake others up, the system pushes back. Hard. Whether you believe Kanye's version of events or not, his story makes you think twice about what really goes on behind the scenes. It forces you to ask, how much do we really know about the lives of the stars we admire? And what might they be hiding? Not because they want to, but because they have to. Kanye's chilling message wasn't just about fame, it was a wake-up call about control, silence, and the price of truth. Will the industry finally face the truth staring it in the face? Let's find out. A reckoning unfolds. The courtroom seemed to hold its breath the entire time Kanye West was on the stand. It wasn't just another celebrity moment. It was electric. Even Diddy, known for his commanding presence and never being at a loss for words, sat still and silent for once. The silence that followed Kanye's testimony wasn't ordinary. It felt like a shift. When he stepped down from the witness box, the room collectively exhaled, as if everyone had been bracing for an impact they didn't yet understand. Later, Jermaine Jackson, Michael Jackson's older brother, publicly thanked Kanye, not just with polite words, but with deep emotion. He spoke truths we've carried in silence for too long, Jermaine said. It was more than appreciation. It was relief. Relief that someone had finally said out loud what many have whispered behind closed doors for years. But Kanye's bold words didn't answer everything. In fact, they opened the door to even more disturbing questions. Why, for example, was Michael Jackson reportedly denied the security team he trusted most in the final days of his life? Why was he surrounded by people he didn't personally select? People who may not have had his best interest at heart? And what about the leaked AEG emails? Those internal messages hinted that the concert promoters may have known Michael's health was deteriorating. If they were aware, why didn't they act? Why didn't anyone step in? What is really happening behind the closed doors of the entertainment industry? Kanye's testimony might be more than just a moment of personal courage. It could be the beginning of something much bigger. A spark that ignites a much-needed cultural reckoning. A call for transparency in an industry where fame is often traded for freedom, and creative brilliance can be both praised and preyed upon. There's something rotten at the core, something hidden beneath the red carpets, flashing cameras, and multi-million-dollar deals. A dark side where power is unchecked, and those who speak out risk everything. Now, the world isn't just watching Diddy. The spotlight is widening. People want to know what's been hidden, who's been protected, and how many artists have suffered in silence while we watched from the sidelines. And Kanye? Love him or hate him? Call him a genius or a madman? He might have just become the unlikely whistleblower no one saw coming. The one person bold enough, reckless enough, and honest enough to pull back the curtain and force the world to look at what's really been going on. At great personal risk, he may have lit the fuse, and now it's only a matter of time before the explosion. So what do you think about Diddy's alleged role in Michael Jackson's death? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.